Good morning, everybody. Jim Feist and Hank Goldberg here in Las Vegas. We're celebrating the end of the wild card weekend, and we're looking forward to the divisional round. It's going to be really exciting, Hank. Good morning.
Yeah, well, it was pretty exciting this weekend. There was some close games. The biggest surprise to me was how poorly Drew Brees played and how bad a coaching job Sean Payton did in the Saints game. I mean, Brees was awful.
Yeah,
he couldn't make a play, and I couldn't understand something. Number 7, he was really good.
Yeah.
He was on the bench at the end of the game. Why did they take him out? He was the only guy who could do anything. He had the winning. He had the touchdown pass that was significant, and he had the big running play that was significant, and yet he wasn't in the game when it mattered most.
We see that a lot from these coaches. I don't understand their philosophy. I don't know what they're doing.
Well, Peyton, you don't see that a lot. I mean, he's supposed to be a great coach and a great tactician. And, you know, the three guys who were, Minnesota had a good defensive plan. They did a good job on Thomas, who didn't crack 80 yards. And, Cook did okay. But although he did slip when they had an opportunity to score a touchdown after they recovered the early fumble, and that's when they were held to 3 points. But Taysom, I'll tell you, he was amazing, everything he did. And he produced points for him. And you would have thought he would have been a part of what they were doing when they needed it at the end of the game, and he was on the bench.
I can't explain it. I don't think anybody can, unless he was hurt. He's an amazing player.
But Brees was bad. He looked like an old man. He couldn't complete passes. He had no turnovers in the 4 games going into this game, and he had 2 critical turnovers. The fumble killed him and set up the winning score. And the interception that he threw, going for some reason, throwing a deep ball into double coverage. He played. I'll tell you what was curious to me was not curious, but the 2 old men. If I was going to write a theme for the weekend, was Brees and Brady. They both played poorly, and they both lost. And it's time for them to take a look at themselves and say, do I really want to go on with this? And, because Brady didn't do anything in his game. And, he didn't help his team win. And, he didn't do anything that cost his team the game, but he didn't produce points. And in Brees' case, he cost his team the game, helped to cost his team the game. And Lutz, the Saints made all the mistakes in the game. Lutz missing missing an easy field goal for him. That cost him big time. Punting the ball when they did, and just everything that happened in that game was the coaching mistakes. Now there's Sean Payton. I don't know what happens. This is 3 times in a row now.
I know. Yeah, that's right.
They've lost playoff games.
Yeah, 3 straight years they had the best NFC team and didn't get there.
And he can't blame the officials for this one.
No. I know they can say the push off of the end zone, but that's bull. I gotta let that go. This is.
No, that wasn't a bad call. That's not a call that you make. I didn't have a problem with that.
I can't. The officials are just so inconsistent. I don't know what to think about them. But anyway, it's part of the game. All the games went under, Hank. All of the 4 games went under the total. Under the total.
Well, I pointed out on the show the other day, and I gave out the stat that last year the road teams were 3-1, and that this was a very strong trend the last few years, that the road teams in the wild card round did very well. And the only road team that lost was Buffalo, which had a good chance to win. But the road teams all won again this year. They went 3-1 again this year, and that was a trend that held up.
Yeah, along with four unders. Josh Allen played very well in the beginning. The pressure, I think, looked like it got to him near the end. He made a couple really strange plays.
Well, you know what? As poorly as he played in the second half, he made enough plays in the fourth quarter to get his team into overtime. So, I can't blame him totally. But his lack of experience reinforced my feeling that Wentz couldn't get it done the next day because of his lack of experience. But I'll tell you, Seattle was very fortunate to win that game because their defense did not play very well against a 40-year-old substitute quarterback whose job early in the season was on ESPN. He came off the ESPN studio to play in the championship in a playoff game, and he didn't make mistakes, which was the difference between him and Wentz, who would make mistakes in a game like that. But Seattle, Russell Wilson was not great again, and their running game did not do well against Philadelphia's defense. And I think they're up against it going on the road again this week. Russell Wilson is just not playing as well as he's supposed to. And they just squeaked by in this game against the Philadelphia backups.
The Fletcher Cox in the middle for Philadelphia did an amazing job. I mean, he is so strong. You can't block him with one guy. You got to have a couple guys on him. He just breaks down your offensive line all by himself. He's an amazing player. Well,
you notice that's the difference between them and the Seattle coaching. When the Seattle, big time pass rusher was having his way, if you notice that Philadelphia put three guys on him. That finally slowed him down.
Yeah, Seattle has been Seattle's an amazing team. I mean, they've won so many games this year, but their margin of victory is just so small. How they do it, it's like magic. And Russell does well enough, and he slipped a little bit, but the offensive line, they have three starters off that offensive line from the beginning of the year, and they've lost three backs. They replaced them a little bit. There's been a lot of stuff going on there, and the fact that they're continue to keep going is absolutely amazing. Now there's a big matchup this week: Aaron Rodgers against Russell Wilson. That's interesting.
I think that they've won now 8 out of 9 games on the road. But this was a game they easily could have lost. I don't think they didn't score very much in this game. And Russell Wilson was frustrating to watch. He didn't make many plays. And he was very erratic. And he has played very erratically in the last several weeks. And I think that I don't think they're destined to go very far.
Well, based on this week, that's a Sunday afternoon game, and Green Bay is a 4-point favorite, total of 46. That's in Green Bay, of course. And we got 4 good games this weekend, Hank. We got some big lines, though. Baltimore's anywhere from 8 to 10-point favorite over Tennessee. Is a big line.
Well, the early money came in on Tennessee.
It sure did.
And I think that's that's because of Henry and his great performance over the weekend. I mean, he almost single-handedly won that game for them because Tannehill was bad. Tannehill has never played a good game in New England, and he stunk, and almost cost them the game.
Yeah, I wasn't impressed with Tannehill. No, I was not.
Well, he played a lousy game. That's why you weren't impressed. He only threw 2 good passes the whole game. One of them was a touchdown pass early, and the other one was a third down completion that he made when they had to have it at the very end of the game that kept possession at a time when it looked like they might be staging a minor comeback. But they scored 14 points. I mean, that's all. And they had all he kept doing that was right was handing the ball to Henry because New England could not stop him. They had no answers for Henry. And normally you would say, well, Belichick would come up with an answer for a running back, but he had none for Henry. Henry ran for over 160 yards in the game. And then Belichick made a coaching mistake at the end where they kicked the ball when they had short yardage to go for on 4th down. And he thought that they were going to get the ball back. And that's when Tannehill made the one completion that they needed to maintain possession. And that's really was key to them, the outcome of the game. But Belichick did not have one of his better days either. There was only one thing they had to do: stop Henry, and they would win the game because Tannehill was not going to do anything. He was bad. Now he goes on the road again, and they're getting money because I think people think that Henry is going to be able to run the ball against the Baltimore defense. And the one thing about Tennessee's defense, they're going to be up against that Baltimore offense. We'll see what happens.
It's going to be interesting. We talked a lot about Josh Allen and what he didn't do, but Deshaun Watson was a little bit of a miracle worker and a hero with the way he played. How he got out of that one sack and 2 guys had him and he got away. He had an amazing performance at the end of that game.
Buffalo was the better team in that game, and they got off to a 60-point. Their opening drive was tremendous, and Allen played very well in the first half, and then he had a bad third quarter, and he came back in the fourth quarter and engineered a drive that got them a field goal that tied the game. And then in the overtime, they're moving the ball. They get a big play. Allen helps them to get a big play. They complete a pass that gets them within, I'd say, one play of kicking a winning field goal. They get a whistle. They call an illegal block in the back that was highly questionable. I mean, really questionable call that cost them a first down, cost them like 30 yards. And now, instead of having a first down and be in a position to control where the ball's going to go so they can get in a position to win the game, they are, scrambling. And, he was in a position that a veteran quarterback probably couldn't work his way out of against that defense. And that's why they lost the game. You can't blame Allen totally for it.
Well, I got to give a little credit to Deshaun Watson. He did. He played amazingly at part of that game.
He did at times, and in the fourth quarter, he made a couple of big plays. And that touchdown run that he made was amazing. And the other thing was that really hurt us, those of us who had the points in the game, was the 2-point conversions. They made 2-point conversions in the game.
They go to Kansas City this week, and they're a 9.5, 10-point underdog. Of course, Kansas.
There was another factor in the game, and that was a couple of goal line stands that were made against them. in the game. So I didn't think they were great. I think they kind of got a little lucky.
Well, they're going to go to a tough place.
Kansas City, I'll tell you something about Kansas City. You got Kansas City coming off a bye. Look up Andy Reid off a bye.
He's very good.
You will find an incredible stat. He's something like 25-2.
No, the stat's incredible. I just wonder about the point spread. It's very large, 9.5, 10-point favorite. It's a big number, especially if Houston gets Fuller back at wide receiver, which really opens the game up quite a bit. Of course, we do have the potential of bad weather at all four sites. So you never know. It's still early in the week, so we don't know.
I know this about Kansas City. They come in playing great ball on defense as well as offense. They've got a quarterback who's very hot right now. His passing game is good. They've got a good running game going for him right now. And their defense comes in here giving up something like 9 points a game. Their defense is very strong. Spags has done a great job with them defensively right now. They are playing as well as anybody.
You're right. Their defense has been absolutely amazing. It's going to be, those Sunday games are going to be great. Seattle, Green Bay, Houston, Kansas City. On Saturday, we have Minnesota at San Francisco. Of course, we talked a little bit about Tennessee at Baltimore. But this is going to be another great week. I'm excited about it. Of course, we have some coaching changes, Hank. They finally
McCarthy got the Dallas job.
Yeah, what do you think of that move?
I think he might have been the guy all along. I have mixed feelings about it. I'll tell you one thing about Colin Cowherd, who kept pushing for the Oklahoma coach, who he thought was going to get that job. By the way, I went 2-2 on CBS, and I was 2 games better than Colin was in picks this week. He had a rough weekend. He was 0-4. He had a bad year handicapping. But anyway, he was insisting the Oklahoma coach was going to be the guy. Jerry didn't want to go for a college coach. And the Oklahoma coach wasn't going to get any NFL job off a 63-point defense in his bowl game. And it was just an absurd picking selection, which Dallas was not going to make. And Jerry wanted a guy with NFL experience. That's why he brought in the guy from Cincinnati, who had something in common with McCarthy. They didn't win many postseason games over the years. But McCarthy has a Super Bowl win under his belt. And we'll see what he does. He did not have a very successful last couple of years in Green Bay because he and the quarterback didn't see eye to eye, and they were kind of rocky. But he was a hot item as far as teams looking for a coach, and Jerry wrapped him up in a hurry. That was his guy. We'll see how he and Jerry get along.
There's still a job opening in nobody ever talks about this job opening. Carolina is a pretty good job opening. They have David Tepper, the owner. He's very aggressive. He wants to win. He's got a lot of money. What do you think about that job? Do you feel that's like a premier job? I think it is, but nobody talks about that position.
They've got some issues there. And that what they're going to do for a quarterback. They've got a lot of good defensive players, but the quarterback situation is up in the air.
Yeah. Has Cam Newton made any announcements whether he wants to come back or not?
It's not his choice.
Well, he could always retire.
But he's not going to retire. He doesn't want to retire. He wants to play someplace. He could wind up with the Chargers, or he could wind up in Cincinnati. He could wind up in a lot of places right now. A lot of teams are going to be interested in him.
But
I think he's played at his record in Carolina is lousy right now. He has not been very suitable there. He's lost 9 straight starts.
Well, how about his injury issues? I mean, there's some Andrew Luck retired because of injuries, and he couldn't figure that out and want to play through it anymore. The same thing could happen with Cam.
Yeah, although he's he says he's fine now. That's the difference. He hasn't announced retirement.
Right.
He wants to play.
And I don't know if you want to dig into this. Is Tom Brady, in your opinion, done, or is he going to stay with New England? Or
well, I guess his last pass was an interception for a touchdown.
Yeah.
Pick 6. Is that the way he wants to go out? He said in his press conference that he hopes he can keep playing. Is he going to keep playing for New England? Is this the end of the New England dynasty?
Well, they
have a lot of holes to fill.
They really do. They don't really have. I mean, I know they had Gordon there, and they had AB there, and Gronk retired, and so they did lose a lot on the outside. And Brady was always a good deep passer, so you didn't really have that anymore. And you turn Edelman into a wide receiver; he's really not a long, the long bomb type guy. He's a possession guy. I mean, they played with a lot of holes this year. They really did. So, but I think they have a lot of equity in the off season where they could rebuild that team. I predict he'll come back, but I think he'll stay there. I can't see somebody at 42, 43 years old, however old he is, to go to a new system, and especially they might lose their offensive coordinator.
Yeah, he may be going to Carolina.
Ah, right. That's possible. That makes sense.
And he might take Brady with him.
Ah, now that would be a coup. That's an interesting.
He wouldn't have to teach Brady his system.
That would be an interesting combination to do something like that. Very. You ought to. I think you ought to patent that one, Hank. That's a good prediction.
Well, I don't know that Belichick wants to start all over again at age 67, having to rebuild. I'm going to be curious to see what Belichick does. I called Don Shula on his birthday Saturday, and we had a nice conversation, and I said, Coach, he doesn't care a lot for Belichick. I said, I think you're going to get a nice birthday present this weekend from Tennessee. Vrabel, I think, is going to give you a nice birthday present. And he started laughing. His son, Mike, by the way, is out of a job. And Mike was the offensive coordinator and quarterback coach with the Giants. And he did a nice job with Jones. So somebody could do themselves a favor and hire Mike as a quarterback and offensive coach somewhere. He was in Carolina, and he did a good job with Cam. And for some reason, the Rivera let him go. I know what the reason was. He and Norv Turner were tight, and he brought Norv back in to coach the offense as a favor to Norv. It was a friendship deal. So, but Mike is available. I'll tell you another strange hire. The Dolphins hired Chan Gailey, and they fired their offensive coordinator and their offensive line coach, both of whom had come from New England with the head coach there. Chan Gailey hasn't coached in 4 years. And I thought he did a lousy job 4 years ago, wherever he was. The only time I ever had an argument with Dave Wannstedt when he was coaching the Dolphins was over Chan Gailey, who I said he should get rid of on the air. And when I went into his office to do the radio show, he jumped me on that. He said, "How can you say that?" He's terrible. I held my ground.
Oh, wow. Well, Hank, listen, thanks for the time today. Anything else? We're running along on the recording.
Okay, well, a lot of good college basketball results over the weekend.
Yep.
I had a very good week with college hoops. Your followers will attest to that. And I had a good day yesterday, too. So hopefully that'll continue this week. There's not much going on today in the college basketball area. There's a bowl game today. The last one, Louisiana Lafayette, Miami of Ohio.
The last one before the championship.
Yep.
All right, Hank, have a great day today. We'll talk again on Wednesday.
All right, Jim.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, go to JimFeist.com. I had a great weekend in the pro football. I was 5-1. I had the over in the New Orleans Minnesota game, and that did not get there, but I had all the other ones right. So great 5-1 weekend. I think I'm plus 22 games, 22 games in the NFL, which is close to 60% on the season, which is excellent. I'll have plays up for the divisional games on Saturday and Sunday. College hoops for me last week was not as good as what Hank had, so I got to shape that up. It's one of my best sports. It always has been. But had an off week last week. But we'll get that straightened out. I'm working on some of the things that I might have been missing. But we're here working. And just go to JimFeist.com and check out our picks. And we will make you money. Thank you for listening.